My name is Steve Cabe, and for those of you who haven't already heard, I started what is now known as simply Courage Over Fear. Tomorrow is November 9th, which is also the day of the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon. And tomorrow I will be running that marathon, and I'll be doing it in a straitjacket.
We're not just talking about running a marathon here. He said he's going to do it in a straitjacket. And if you didn't already think that was crazy enough, get this. There's only 3 other people in the world who have ever done that. Yeah, that's right, I looked it up. And none of those 3 have ever escaped their straitjacket, let alone right after running 26 miles. So this should be interesting, man. I tell you, I can't wait to see this.
Dear Steve, you have got to stop beating yourself up. I know you've been through tough times, and life feels pointless right now. But I want you to know that despite how lonely you feel, you are not alone.
Hello.
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm just at work and figured I'd give you a call because I just can't say I really want to be here.
Feel that, man?
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought I would be working in food service. Like, this, I don't know what to do. And I'm just sick of it, you know?
Yeah, no, I feel that, dude.
Yeah. In other news, I was kicking around sort of a crazy idea.
Yeah?
What if I run a marathon in this straitjacket, and then, yeah, a marathon's 26.2 miles, right? So what if I do like the first 26 in the straitjacket, and then in the last like 0.2, like right before I cross the finish line, I escape it?
That's crazy.
This is day 1 of training for the Courage Over Fear run. My original goal was to run this afternoon after work, but surprise, today I was asked to pick up a second shift, and so after doing that, I got home maybe about 45 minutes ago. I have 30 minutes left in the day. It is currently almost 11:30 p.m. and this is my way of sticking with the goal. I don't really want to go run outside because it's 28 degrees. And I've decided I'm serious about this thing and this run and this goal that I've set out for myself. So I put the thermal on, and I'm going to get a headlight, and I'm going to go run the first day of training for the Courage Over Fear run. Here we go. This is day 2 of training. It is 33 degrees outside, currently 8:22 in the evening, and I'm going for a run. Here we go. So I'm here
in a hotel right now in St. Louis, and I'm training for the Courage Over Fear run. And y'all, I gotta be honest, like, I don't want to be here on this treadmill, and like, Magic and this whole Courage Over Fear thing, like, is kind of humbling and embarrassing as this is to say. It's not my only job. Like, I'm out here right now because I work in sports catering, to say the least, and I'm here to support some big events and some sporting events, and I gotta walk a lot, you know, visiting different places, making sure everything's going right during events. And like, I put in 12 miles today, and I don't say that to brag, because like, my body hurts, and I'm not excited about like always working this other job to help support myself, but it's what I'm doing, running the race of life. It's not crowded. There's nobody else in this gym right now. No one over there. There's no one over there. There's no one behind me. There's no one in front of me. It's just me, y'all. Like, it's not crowded, but I guarantee you it's worth it. And I hope you take the challenge to live by courage and to consistently put courage over fear. And with that said, I'm getting back to this treadmill. Hopefully, by the time this video airs, some good things have happened. Peace.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, not a whole lot.
Guess what?
What's up?
So, I just officially registered for the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon on November 9th.
Dang. How's that feel?
Really scary, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not shocked that you're actually going through with it, but also, like, on the other side of the coin, I'm kind of shocked that you're actually going through with it.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, that's all. I just I was like, man, I'm super excited. I had to tell somebody.
Nice.
I'm scared to tell people about it though, because that means like I actually have to do it.
Well, I mean, you've told me now, so now you actually have to do it.
Check. My name is Steve Cabe, and this November I will be running a marathon in a straitjacket. There's just one problem with this. I don't consider myself a runner, and I've never run a marathon before. I'm a magician, and that's where the straitjacket escape originally comes from. I wanted to encourage others that they too can escape whatever negative obstacles they're dealing with and continue to move forward. When I first started, it was probably more weird than cool, but it's always been about the same thing. Continuing to move forward, regardless of what life throws at you. In 2017, I was going through a really difficult time, and by really difficult time, I mean I was battling depression and severe loneliness. That fall, I was getting ready for one of my performances as a magician when I had an idea. What if I let people write on my straitjacket before I try to escape it? What if I share about the most difficult times of my life and then invite them to share about the most difficult parts of theirs? So, I gave it a shot. And the first time I did this, the response from the audience was insane. And after that, I knew I needed to continue being vulnerable and sharing about my hardships, because it gave others the space to do the same. Fast forward 2 years, and I'm still doing it. But now, I'm not just performing. I wasn't kidding when I said, this November, I'm going to run a marathon in a straitjacket. I've been training the entire year for this. Think about it. If someone can run a marathon in a straitjacket and then escape it just before they cross the finish line, what can you do? Ultimately, I think it's a pretty accurate metaphor for the human experience. We all run the race of life, and we do so in the midst of obstacles, hardships, and difficult circumstances. But what matters, and what ultimately makes the difference, is that we always remember to keep moving forward. The more I think about this analogy, the more I realize you'll never understand what it means to run the race of life with courage until you take the first step.
Steve and I first met at Heston College. We were both on the baseball team. And yeah, we just spent a lot of time at practices getting to know each other.
The 1-2 delivery from Stephen Cabe. That's on the ground up the middle. Nick Yoder, and we will have Game 5 tomorrow. Large rally for the victory here on the ground out.
And that tie, you know what? I believe that ties the season record for wins.
Ties the season record for wins in the season. 26 here for the Larks. Larks will play Brown Mackey tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
During Stephen's senior year at college at Indiana Wesleyan, his team took a spring break trip. Well, when we got there, we noticed Stephen was walking off the field and we didn't know what was going on. And he was holding something on his face, and we realized after the fact that he had gotten hit in the face with a baseball during warm-ups. And we were majorly concerned because we realized that with him getting hit in the face with a baseball and his nose was bleeding, that we didn't know what type of damage had been done. And of course he sat through the whole first game. He went and saw the medical trainer from the other team in between games, and then he went back to the dugout and he stayed for the whole second game. So we took him to the hospital that evening, and they determined that he had fractured several bones in his cheekbone. Now, Stephen seemed devastated and I could tell he was concerned whether or not he'd even play baseball ever again. And it was tough.
Steve and I have something that we share in baseball, and in that we both came back from injuries. So I feel like I can speak from a place of knowledge on this, just in the fact that it's not easy to come back from any kind of an injury, but it is especially difficult if you're in a new program or around new people and they haven't been able to see what you've been able to accomplish before.
I believe that ties the season record for wins.
And just kind of getting past that, working through that. Like, I was able to see Steve really, really work very hard to get back to the place where he had been before his injury, just to prove himself again. I mean, it was a whole nother level of having to prove yourself. But I mean, his perseverance was always there. He was always dedicated to getting better, always dedicated to improving himself and improving those around him.
I'm going to be honest, I did not always feel like running this race. And over the summer, I really did not want to train for it. I procrastinated a lot, and I did a poor job of preparing myself.
Oh, I hardly drank the water. Oh, my stomach, it hurts.
As a result, I had some pretty gruesome training sessions.
Ah!
But the thing that kept me going was reminding myself that at the end of the day,
Feels...
this would impact more people than just me. And it would change more than just my physical health.
Feels like I can't breathe. Ah!
And if this proves anything, I think it shows that we are so much more capable than we could ever think or imagine. But the thing that holds many of us back is that we too often lack the courage to just try.
When getting ready to run a marathon, no matter what level you start at, the first thing that you would like to do is you'd like to go into some form of planning. You have to plan out, when is the race going to be? You need to look at yourself realistically. You need to look at yourself and say, where am I at right now? What am I able to do right now? So the planning phase, I think, is the first place to start. You need to look at the whole thing. As anything goes physically, you need to look at diet, you need to look at your current exercise routine, you need to look at your current sleep, you need to look at, again, the plan for when are we going to run this race? When are we going to get to it?
When Steve first told me that he was planning on running a marathon, I thought he was crazy. I hate running. And then on top of running a marathon, he said he was going to do it in a straitjacket. And my first thought was that you couldn't pay me enough money to do anything like that. Like, there's just no way. And I remember we were at an old teammate's wedding. There were a few of us baseball guys there, and yeah, we were looking at each other like, why? Like, why would you even want to do that?
Steve is super passionate. He gets an idea in his head of something he wants to do, and then he just runs full force after that. And he doesn't really care too much what other people say. If they're like, that's crazy, that's never gonna happen. That's like the fuel that gives Steve the drive to do it.
When Steve talked to me about running a marathon, he said something to me about it. My initial thoughts were, great, you're copying your dad, because your dad had run a marathon. And then he said, but I'm going to do it in a straitjacket. And I thought, no, you're not. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Then I thought, I'm not going to be able to talk him out of this. So I thought the best thing for us to do is just to be present when he runs a race, and if there's a need, we're there. But if not, let him do what he knows that he can do that I may not think he can do. Let him do it, and let's see what happens.
I've been able to talk to Steve more about kind of why he wants to do this, and, you know, overcoming all of your addictions, your struggles, your pain, like all of that. It's all mind over matter kind of a thing. And I can respect that. Like, that is not an easy thing to do. And I think that to be able to show it in a physical analogy, like, that's very important. I think that kind of gives substance to what people are going through mentally or emotionally or spiritually.
Physically, what do you need to do physically to get ready for a marathon? Depends on where you start. If I'm running, swinging my arms with a good natural arm swing, we create some momentum, we create some inertia, and we create some rotation that allows our body to coil and recoil and use the static structures in the body to help propel us forward. And using our arms helps us to do that, so that way we can move more efficiently. When you're not able to use your arms, or you don't have arms to use, or arms are tied behind your back, then what will happen is it will force your legs, which are already being taxed over the course of 26.2 miles. It will force your core, which is already being taxed over the course of 26.2 miles, to utilize more energy, to utilize more force, to make sure that we're still able to move forward appropriately and efficiently without the use of our arms.
So, this whole running with no arms thing, it's kind of weird. And you never really notice how much you use your arms until you can't.
I would equate it to having to run 28 miles, or I would equate it to having to run 29 miles. I don't know what the exact conversion would be, but the toll on your legs would be even more than the 26.2 miles that you're already running if you had proper use of your arms, whereas now if you don't have proper use of your arms, you're going to have to make up for the lost efficiency and the lost momentum created by your arms somewhere along the chain, which is going to come from mostly your legs and a little bit from your core as well.
right, so I did it. I am here at the Century Center. You can see the sign behind me, the Sunburst race. I just registered for the half marathon. You can see my race bib in there. This normally wouldn't be a big deal, right? But the thing is, the race is like tomorrow. So, yeah, it's kind of an issue. Okay, we got rid of the gimbal, and this is great because we're in dead last right now, which means we can only get better from here, right? Right? So things are only going up from here. And just gotta keep a nice steady pace. I'm gonna throw the earbuds in and yeah, enjoy the run. All right, I think we're about maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles in. I forgot to start my running app, so I actually don't really know. But I haven't stopped to walk yet. Water? Water. Thank you. All right. 6 miles. Means we're almost halfway done. Whew. I swear racing is the worst when you gotta go use the restroom. I feel better now. Whew. All right, I can pick up the pace finally. All right, so we're coming up on Suicide Hill, which is a huge, massive hill, the last part of the race. All right, there's a hill behind me. Getting it. Yeah, I'm exhausted. My legs are just on fire right now. They're just burning. Like I can feel my shins starting to get shin splints. Ah!
Half marathon. Congratulations.
Your body does not want to run 26 miles, no matter what. Your body's not built to do it. As we talked a little bit earlier, you don't have the energy resources to do that appropriately, without putting your body at risk. Your mind will do whatever it can do to make sure that your body is not at risk. The thing that people do, and the high-level athletes that are able to do it and overcome that, I think a level of discipline is probably the base for it.
We might be in the middle of a tornado watch. Lesson of the day, though, even when life brings the deepest, darkest thunderstorms, you feel like you're soaking wet and completely uncomfortable. Keep moving forward.
Steven's one that when he puts his mind to something, he does it, and he's confident.
In the common population, there's things people don't want to do. They don't want to be sore. They don't want to be tired. They don't want to be sweaty. They don't want to have to lose these comforts of the body for the sake of running a marathon.
Most people probably don't want to go through a situation in which they're going to be tired or sore or have to deal with a lot of pain. The common person may not want to go through the experience of training for a marathon, but that doesn't mean that the common person can't. People do amazing things every single day. It's just that the difference between those who do and those who don't is actually having the courage to try.
no secret that I've gone through a lot during my training this summer.
I think one of the biggest things I've noticed in Steve himself over the past year of him training has been a higher sense of drive.
All right, it is currently 91 degrees outside in the middle of summer, and I'm putting on a sweatshirt. I also brought 10-pound weights. And as you can probably see, there's a hill behind me. So, let's just say, this is gonna suck. That's one.
Anytime you train for a race, it's a difficult process, and it's a whole lot easier when you have others that will walk with you or run with you to encourage you and to uplift you.
I just found out that the guy who's supposed to be running with me might not be able to. So I might be running the race by myself. Not really sure how I feel about that right now.
I was wondering if Steve was going to be able to complete the training on his own, because other than from a distance, he didn't have anybody to be with him and encourage him on.
I've got to admit, I've been making like a lot of excuses to not run. And then today there's like a risk of severe thunderstorms. The skies are all gray behind me. It's starting to rain a little bit. And it'd be a really easy day for me to be like, nah, like I'm not gonna go out for a run. But you know, I think sometimes we need to take this step even when we know it's gonna be harder because of it. Like even because I know that there's going to be crazy thunderstorms today, I'm choosing to go out and run, because the next time when I think, oh, I should go run today, and I know there's not thunderstorms, then, well, it'll just be that much easier. So when you feel like starting is hard, it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's the best thing.
But not only did he accomplish it, he ran in all types of weather. He ran in cold weather. He ran in rain. I remember one day it was pouring down and he just kept running. And so, you know, the tenacity and the perseverance that he had to get through the training was awesome. And by the time he was done training, I knew that he shouldn't have any problems running the marathon, because if he could run 18 miles in the rain, running 26 miles in good weather would be simple.
24-hour temperatures will show the plunge occurring as we head toward tomorrow morning. We're looking at 30, 31 degrees for the overnight low, and then just barely going up a little bit during the day tomorrow. Mid-30s, probably the best that we're going to see.
Right to US 31 South Plymouth, Indianapolis.
It's good to see you. What's up, buddy? How are you, man? I'm so good.
Hey, maybe I should get a jacket to run it. Oh wait, I already have one. 2048. Awesome. Thank you very much. 26 for those. Look at that. Look at that. I sent out a bunch of emails yesterday saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is kind of the mission behind it. And I'd love it if you guys want to pick up the story. And they called me, they want to pick up the story. So Aaliyah is going to be here in approximately 30 minutes.
So is it kind of like people write their fears on it and you're wearing the fears, like you're overcoming those fears, and you're going to take it off? Explain that.
Yeah, so the idea behind a straitjacket is that's what it is.
Talking about
crowded. The weather not stopping the 19,000 runners participating in the Monumental Marathon tomorrow.
They might like it. One man won't don the usual athletic wear for the race. Instead, he's going to wear, get this, a straitjacket. News 8's Aaliyah Hodges spoke with him today, shares the reason why he's doing this. Aaliyah?
Well, his name is Steve Cabe. He's from Michigan, and he tells me this is the first time ever he is running a full marathon. And you're probably wondering, what is he thinking? But he tells me he faces this challenge and hopes other people can overcome their fears and face the challenges in their life too. Take a look. Just hours ago, Steve Cabe picked up his bib number. On it, it says, "Live by courage." Steve is a magician and performs a straitjacket escape. He has people write obstacles they face on his jacket before his demonstration.
They've written miscarriage, divorce, skin color, alcoholism, drug abuse. Someone I think said that they wrote that they had a family member get hit by a truck and they were trying to overcome the loss of a family member. A lot of people have written just the word fear.
But it wasn't until a year ago he decided to wear it while running 26 miles, turning those fears into courage. Steve plans to escape the straitjacket right before crossing the finish line.
When we run the race of life, we feel like we can't go any farther. The truth is we can. We just have to believe in ourselves and a few different other things. And if we can do that, then we can escape the straitjacket of life that we all inevitably deal with at some point.
The magician says he's been training all year in a straitjacket. Discomfort will be the obvious challenge for Steve, but says not using his arms is the least worry.
The hard part is, how do I drink water? What happens if my nose itches? Or what happens if a rock gets in my shoe and I need to make an adjustment?
Steve says his goals are to finish the race and encourage many people as possible to overcome fear in their life.
No matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, I think it all is a really symbolic reflection of the race of life that we're all on. We deal with circumstances we can't necessarily predict, and the important part is that there's always courage to be found in taking the next step, whatever that looks like for a given person.
And you can follow Steve while he's racing in real time. To learn how, you can visit our website at wishtv.com. Reporting in downtown Indy, I'm Aaliyah Hodges, Wish TV News 8.
When I met Steve, he seemed very optimistic with a smile on. He didn't seem fearful at all. He seemed very fearless. And he talked about him having depression, and it didn't come off as if he was doing it for show. It seemed like he was on a mission to prove to other people that they can do something beyond their wildest dreams.
My hope for the race and for the documentary, for everything really, is that what I'm doing encourages people to share their stories authentically.
If you want to come up in just a second, I'll give you the time. You can come up and you can write on the straitjacket whatever obstacle it is that you're facing in life. Right here, right now, authenticity is the only requirement, and there's no perfect people allowed. If I were you and I was sitting in chapel at Heston College, and believe it or not, this is the first time I've ever shared this story, I can vividly remember sitting in the basement of Verb my freshman year thinking, nobody likes me. People here are shallow. Nobody wants to engage me. I do this cool magic, and when the magic is over, people leave. It would be better if I was just not here. Not only at Heston College, but it would be better if I wasn't alive. I sat in the basement of Verb that night, contemplating suicide. The more people that I've gotten to know, the more people that I've talked to, I realize that I am not the only one that has experienced that, and it's selfish of me to think that I am. So, what I'm going to do depression, suicidal thought, and loneliness. There you go, I just did it.
I think there's a lot of power and a lot of courage when it comes to sharing our stories and where we are in life and the things we're scared of and the things that we're going through that maybe we're not proud of. But when we do that, it allows other people the space to do the same. I think with all that in mind, you could just sum it up as, you are not alone.
Would you say that you have any fears leading up to kind of this race? Because like you said, Project Quadruple Fear, what are some fears for yourself right now?
Yeah. The race is scary, I'm not gonna lie. It is, I mean, I was just lying down on the bed a little bit ago, and I was starting to sort of freak out a little bit, have like almost a mild panic attack, which I don't say lightly. Like, I'm not the type of person that has panic attacks, but I was just starting to imagine the amount of pain that I'm gonna be in, and the fact that I'm not gonna be able to do anything about it.
Oh my gosh. I just ran 18 miles and I feel like death. What have I gotten myself into?
Like, my legs are gonna hurt, I know that. And in the past, oh, my legs hurt, and maybe I can stretch them or massage them out or something like that. I won't be able to use my hands because my hands will be strapped in a straitjacket like this. So if I get a cramp, what am I gonna do? And that's just one of many things that kind of scares me. It's just the fear of the unknown. On top of all of that, like I said, I'll be running in a straitjacket, and the farthest distance I've run while actually in the straitjacket is 4 miles to this point. So let's think about doing that and then adding 22.2 miles, and then we're at a marathon. So that worries me a little bit.
All right, it is it's 11:19 p.m. the night before the race. Tomorrow I'm waking up at about 5 a.m. Race starts at 8. I just want to make sure I'm there with enough time to stretch and use the restroom and be prepared. I'm actually kind of nervous about tomorrow. I've never run 26.2 miles before. The fear of the unknown is, it's really strong. And hopefully everything will be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. All right. Good night, world. I get a race to run tomorrow. Actually, good night, world. I have a race to conquer tomorrow.
That morning came, and Steve came to our hotel just prior to the race, and he was nervous. He could tell. He kind of had the stomach nervousness and everything, and he couldn't stay still. And it was interesting to see him prepare. He had been training on his own, so he needed to be by himself. He didn't want us to talk to him a whole lot. He wanted to just mentally concentrate on what the race was going to be like.
I can honestly say that I wasn't thrilled to hear that Stephen wanted to run a marathon in a straitjacket. I was concerned for his health and well-being, and I'd never seen anybody do it before.
Had some friends and myself help him get into his straitjacket, and then he got in the corrals with the runners. We lost him there for a second in the crowds, But as we finally found him, we're trying to film him a little bit. We saw him talking to another girl.
You running the marathon?
Yeah.
Me too. This is my first one
Okay,
too.
good.
So we're in the same boat.
All right, what's your name?
And this girl was already crying, and the race hadn't even started. And I'm thinking, is this about the race, or is this just about courage over fear, or is it about helping people? And I began to realize that Steve was trying to set an example of how you face your fears and how you have courage no matter what.
With courage over fear, it's something fresh. It's something that's focusing on the here and now. I think a lot of people tend to think there are people with greater problems than mine. My problems aren't that big of a deal, or what I'm facing isn't that big of a thing. But what courage over fear is doing is saying, hey, actually you need to stop neglecting yourself. You need to look at yourself, you need to face all that, and we're here to help you do that. We're here to do that with you.
Let's go!
Mile 1, baby. 25.2 more to go. All right. How's it going? I'm great. Yeah. You guys doing the half?
Yeah.
Cool.
What about you?
Good luck. Full. Yeah.
Oh,
So my first ever full marathon. So.
You can do it.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
In following Steve, it was actually more difficult than what we anticipated. I was following him with the documentary crew, and there was an app that the race had set up that we could use, and it was actually pretty difficult in following him because what we were finding is Steve was consistently ahead of where the app was saying he was. So we actually ended up not seeing him until around mile 12.
What's up, baby?
12 miles, boy. You got this.
How you feeling, yo?
I feel good. There's a little pain in my right leg.
Okay.
I was hoping I'd see you guys again sometime soon.
Dude,
It's been a short eternity.
so the app was like struggling. We couldn't like find you, and then
Really?
we just like, okay, fuck it, we're gonna meet him here.
Yeah,
All
that'd
right.
be great.
You want some water?
Okay, you ready? Here we go. Watch this.
Oh, you got go. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. How are you feeling though?
I feel kind of certain, honestly, so I didn't want to tell anybody this, but I might have a partially torn meniscus.
Oh, no.
And I didn't want to tell anybody because I was afraid they'd try and like convince me to drop out of the race.
Typically we have pain either at the joint line, so the joint between the shin bone and the thigh bone, which is your common knee joint. The joint surfaces there are made to absorb weight. There's cushion there, there's cartilage there, there are what are called menisci in there. So you've heard of meniscus tears, you've heard of meniscus injuries, but we call them the brothers menisci. There's 2 in each knee. The meniscus being a little cartilage shock absorber in the knee, and it can get little micro tears in there that cause some discomfort. The less cushion you have in the knee, the worse it feels, and if there is an injury to that cushion, you will notice it with just about every step that you take. And as that goes, that force from your body is going to continue to go through the joints and continue to go through the lower body, and if it's not being absorbed by the static structures, by the muscles, by the tendons, then it's going to get transferred somewhere, and a lot of times what happens is that extra force will go to the static structures which are not built to absorb that force on their own.
Oh, did you hear that?
No.
My knee popped. Here, do you mind walking with me?
Yeah.
Because I need to keep pace.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of dedication to run a marathon, because when you run the marathon, your body will take you so far, but then it won't take you any further, and it gives up, and your mind has to say, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna stop.
When I finally saw Steve around mile 12, I was actually pretty surprised.
with how well he was handling this and how positive he was while he was running. And he actually introduced me to a couple of the people he was running with, and I was able to hear a little bit of their story from what Steve was telling me and what they were telling me.
I met a lady named Cindy. She said she was 70 years old. This is her first ever marathon. I was like, oh, that's so much inspiration. I met another guy who said that it was his first ever marathon. And just we chatted about some of the things that he was dealing with because he saw the stuff on the jacket. And I met some other people who were just like really encouraging. Somebody popped a piece of candy in my mouth earlier.
Nice.
So I had some Kit Kat in my teeth still. Everyone's been super nice. I'm trying to kind of keep pace a little bit ahead of the 5:30 group.
Nice.
Which is a little quicker than I thought I was gonna run. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, so this is like, I don't know, it's been about what I've expected. But I was not expecting to get pain in my leg this quick. Okay, my right leg really hurts right now.
Dude, you got it, yo. Mind over matter.
Actually, yeah, that would be
Dude, do it.
And then when I saw him around mile 15, he actually came over to the side, over to the curb, and had me help him stretch his legs. And when we did that, he actually told me that he was running on a partially torn meniscus, which in that moment I was like, Steve, why are you doing this? This is insane, man. When it comes to the race, I think one of the biggest challenges for Steve is going to be the mental game, because he's going to be out there with no music, nothing. It's just going to be him and his thoughts in a straitjacket running.
You're not a runner. You're a fake. Why are you even doing this? You're an idiot. Just stop. The pain will stop. It's not worth it. You're too weak. You're too slow. You can't do it. And nobody cares. Nobody cares about this race or you. So just give up, because you're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. So just quit.
Stop being so hard on yourself and cut yourself some slack. You're doing great. The truth is, others are dealing with similar feelings, and there's a lot more people paying attention to what you're doing than you think. You've wanted to run a marathon for a while now, but little do you know, the first time you'll ever attempt it, you'll do it in a straitjacket. It's not that running a marathon isn't already hard enough. It's because eventually you'll see an opportunity to encourage others and you'll go for it.
This is my new friend Wally.
What's up, guys?
A year ago, he said he weighed 250 pounds.
My name is Waleed Al-Hamid. I go by Wally. I met Steve running the Monumental Marathon in 2019 around mile 12.
Yeah. All right, cool. And what's your name, brother?
I'm Wally.
Wally, right on, man.
Just ran into Steve.
Nice, man.
Heard about his story, man. Love it. Late in 2018, I was kind of miserable and not happy with where I was at in life, and I gained so much weight. I was about 250 pounds, so for the 2 miles that we ran together, we were just pushing each other. Like, I was about ready to give up, but he just kept pushing me, and just talking to him inspired me. So I was like, why would I not wait for this guy and keep pushing through this together? A piece of advice to someone who may be in the same shoes that I was in when I first started and decided that I wanted to run the marathon, when I was at a low point in my life and very unhappy with myself and where I was at. Just keep going. You know, at the beginning, you're gonna doubt yourself so much. You're gonna think that there's no way ever you're gonna be able to do whatever you decide to do. But believe it or not, you are capable of doing whatever you set your mind to.
So, whether you believe it or not, you are good enough.
near the end of the race, about mile 22 was the last place we were going to see him until the finish line. And it seemed exceptionally long for him to get to that point. And I thought, man, he must be slowing down. And so I walked way down the road toward the runners that were coming toward me, so I'd have a chance to walk or run with Stephen back up to where my wife was. And I found him, and he was coming in, and I talked to him a little bit, and he was still strong, but I knew he was hurting.
Hang in there, you got this, you can finish it.
And he didn't want to talk about it, but he wanted just to keep going. He didn't want to stop. He didn't want to take a whole lot of nourishment, so I just kind of helped him along the way and encouraged him on, told him he didn't have much further to go. But I think it was at that point that I realized he needs more than my help and nourishment. He needs my prayers. And I really started saying, Lord, let him finish and let him finish strong.
And those things that trip you up and sometimes hold you back, they don't stand a chance.
Mile 19 through 22 just kicked my ass.
Really?
I got sweat in my eyes, I got cramps, I was feeling like garbage, I wanted to throw up. I just kind of kept moving forward. Eventually got here, and at one point I was just running with my eyes closed, just saying the mind is weaker than the body, the mind is weaker than the body. And just look down and I have all the inspiration I need, I think. So
you're stronger than you think. You can do this. All you have to do is take the next step.
I think we're gonna do this thing. We're actually gonna do it.
Courage is always a continual choice.
Proud of you.
Hey man, what's up?
Nothing much. I just wanted to call because I have some exciting news.
Yeah?
Yeah, so the news is that the documentary is finally finished.
Dude, that's exciting.
Yeah, you're telling me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to see it and to share it with everybody.
I'm super excited. Now, now that this is all done, you've been waiting on this for so long. What's next?
It's funny that you ask that so soon. I was thinking about that. What if
I go for a world record.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Estrada. My name is Jen. My name is Alyssa.
Hey guys, Wayne Grimes here.
Hi, my name is Davina David.
Hi, I'm Andrew Miller.
I'm Janelle.
What's up, guys? My name is Carter Lloyd.
I'm from New Jersey.
I live in Marion, Indiana.
I am from Niles.
Out of Los Angeles, California.
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
I'm currently in Southwest Michigan.
The way I live with courage over fear is by being vulnerable.
To live with courage over fear is not letting those around you or even those closest to you, in fact, compromising your beliefs.
How I live with courage over fear is remembering what my passions are and following what my heart says.
Courage to me is the key to living.
To live by courage is to not be scared of the outcome.
You know, talking about it, sharing my story with you even, has been a huge step, and it empowers me.
And this courage that I have even cost me my marriage, but it killed a whole lot of fear.
So to me, courage can just be defined as that vulnerability space of admitting that you want something different and then being willing to do what it takes to get there.
It's possible to live by courage. It's possible to leave your fears behind. It's not going to be easy, but it is possible, and it's so rewarding because that's the first step into realizing who you are.